But yeah, I do have an Android app. Or Android, yeah.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
It's all well and good. What's going on, guys? Welcome to yet another episode of Hyperspace Hype. What number? I forgot because we've been waiting here for an hour. No offense, but yeah, we have joining us on time is Evan.
Yeah, I've been here on time. I thought I was late. I was like, I'm running late. I had to finish eating my dinner. I'm like, I finished eating my spaghetti. I finished watching Big Brother. Let me hurry up and come on. They're gonna chide me because I'm so late. But no, I get here an hour in advance because I'm a good person. I get here on time. I do what's told. I'm a good noodle. I'm a good noodle.
Oh, we're on episode 55, by the way.
55. Wow, we are catching up to. Oh, actually, yeah, we're catching up to Hyperspace.
We're ahead, I think, aren't we?
Are we ahead? Are we ahead of Hyperspace Hype or My Cup of Tea?
Pretty sure.
I forget. We are doing Hyperspace Hype right now.
Is T on like 60 something? I would think not.
I don't think so. Do we combine T with the commentary? Is that part of T?
I mark it as My Cup of Tea, but I don't count it as an episode.
Okay. Good to know. But yeah, introduce the next person here.
Yeah, joining us straight from the bedhead or lack thereof, Carson.
I got a haircut, so you can't see my shit messed up. Otherwise, it would be like
your aesthetic is all over the place.
Nice. But yeah, I'm here, and I don't know. Episode 55. Yeah, I tweeted earlier. I'm like, we talk about Star Wars still, and then I found like this cool GIF of a dog. And I'm like, that's amazing. So that's kind of my mood. Everything besides the High Republic right now, I'm just kind of like, da-da-da-da-da. So I'm in my own little bubble.
We actually just finished episode 49 of My Cup of Tea, so we're about to hit number 50.
Oh, yeah.
Over there.
Damn, we are catching up fast.
But yeah, if you're into Star Wars stuff or even not Star Wars stuff, even just like regular stuff, and you want to see more of that discussed between us,
I come before you
yes,
to ask you for one thing.
You can subscribe and ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Notifications. I'm probably gonna try to make a Star Wars one of that relevance, but I mean, this one's just too good not to use regularly. Even when I was recording my What If episodes right before this, I left a pause to put that video insert in. It's a blast, man. It's so fun. But yeah, we are here today.
Yeah, it was funny real quick because we were thinking of like, what's a good Star Wars bell? Like, is there good Star Wars bells that we could do?
The best I thought of so far was when Jabba bites the head off that creature in the Phantom Menace and spits the gong from Phantom Menace.
Which is hilarious.
Best I got. But yeah, we're here. I have watched the Disney Gallery Luke Skywalker special. Evan skimmed through it. Carson, I imagine, slept through it. But we're here.
It's funny when you mentioned that in our group chat. Carson gave I think he gave like a thumbs up. But I'm like, this guy is never going to watch this thing. But you know what? I woke up from my nap. It was like 7:30. Big Brother comes on at 8. I'm like, okay, I have 30 minutes. I have a 30-minute gap to cook dinner and to skim through this doc. Let me skim past the boring. This is how we did it. I'm a techno genius. The volume.
And then I slowly realized that's the entire episode.
That's the entire doc. But I got a lot of the good stuff from the beginning. Like the first couple of minutes are kind of important in terms of story. The last couple of minutes are important in terms of story. I skimmed through a lot of the Mark Hamill quotes, what he gave here and there. But overall, it wasn't a fairly interesting doc. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Granted, I only watched combined 20 minutes of it. But it was fairly interesting.
My biggest fear is that this special was going, because with the Luke interviews, I thought they were going to dive into Mark being so pleasantly happy that he gets to bring his prime character to life versus the disgruntled Luke of but, and I know online will do that, but Lucasfilm respectfully enough, and Mark even as well was just I do find it interesting. He said he found it interesting of like the thought process. Like if they ever did go back to do like a young Luke like that, he figured they would just like get someone else, like an Alden situation with Han.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's a pretty fair assumption, but it is cool how they like broke down like the technology. But he was like impressed that like they were able to do that just to, you know, get like a quick view of like this pocket in time to revisit, and that he gets to play as well. So he has come back and got to play both sides of the coin, really, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting because you always wonder like if they ever did continue to use Luke throughout this show, would they keep doing this deepfake situation? And I say deepfake because Jon Favreau went to a whole like discussion about like the evolution of deepfake and the sciences, and Peyton Reed discussed what he did on Ant-Man and the Wasp with the scene with the young Janet Van Dyne.
Yeah, they brought up
Michelle
the
Pfeiffer.
de-aging tech from Marvel.
Yeah, de-aging, not deepfake, but yeah, the de-aging with Michelle Pfeiffer in that one scene. Yeah,
back on Civil War with Iron Man.
Back on
that was like
Ant-Man.
the real first. That was the real. I remember that being the first use of it. This is now Marvel related, but it was so wild sitting at the premiere of Civil War, and you just see like young Robert Downey Jr. And I was like, whoa. It
looked so off-putting, but then like I understood. That's
I thought it looked good though. It was just like you didn't expect it because we haven't properly seen this. They like did stuff like that for like Tron and stuff where it looked rubbery.
Not the best.
But this is where like they actually were like getting it right, and then they just like perfected it over time.
Exactly, it's gotten way better. Marvel has really perfected it, especially like they mentioned with Ant-Man and the Wasp. But that was fantastic de-aging with Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas there. But yeah, I respected the technology, and like you said, I liked Mark Hamill's quotes here. None of it was very off-putting. Like you always get like nightmare flashbacks from Mark Hamill quotes in the lead up to The Last Jedi, and you're just like, I know, never again. Where Mark said some things that weren't the best. He said something that people overreacted to, but either way, like,
and no one ever likes to bring up how he's like. Later, he was like saying like after discussing with Ryan, he's like, I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And yeah, granted, it's not his favorite thing, but like the dude's not like trashing it. Like he respects it, and like,
not at all.
He's a class act.
It is funny. People would always use the first part of that quote and make literally hundreds upon thousands of videos based off of one quote, but never discuss the comma after the quote where he describes. But I respect Ryan's wishes, and of course the amazing documentary with The Last Jedi. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
That he discussed like the whole like working relationship with Ryan, and he liked working with Ryan.
Yeah, and I came out of this watching because I decided like watch it like pretty like late in the evening. I think it was after one of our other podcasts, maybe in like the last tea. And I watched it, and I was like going in just like, all right, let's see what they got. I was like really I wasn't like overly enthusiastic because we've said so many times how we feel about Luke being in Mando. And I go in, and the whole way through, it's just like, God damn it, it's just fucking people working on it who are they're all Star Wars fans. So, you know, they all are just like so encapsulated with the magic and like wanting to get it right. And I respect that. And by the end of it, I was like, like, I couldn't be mad anymore. I messaged in chat. I was like, I'm not angry anymore. And then Evan said, Nathan always quick on the turn of the dime. And I was like, hold on. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Like Nathan came back saying, guys, this is probably the best Disney Plus thing I've ever seen. And I was like, whoa, Nathan, whoa.
I didn't say that. I said that about the new What If. I didn't say that here.
Yeah, I'm kidding. But yeah, I agree with you. Like in terms of my opinion doesn't change. And there are specific quotes that I'll mention real quick or that I'll discuss soon. That like are in reference to the decisions they made in the finale. But otherwise, I agree with Nathan. I think this is a group of people, especially Favreau and Filoni, and they came up with the story, which led to Luke being necessitated to be in the story. And for them, it worked. Like the execution of bringing Luke in here worked. And I never had an issue with how they presented Luke. Like I think the implementation of bringing Luke in and how he was used, or how he was used, I didn't really agree with, but like the effect of bringing him in, what it took to get him there, I respect. I think as fans, they talked about like how it made them cry, and like for how they're doing this for Star Wars fans like our age or even younger who are going to use this moment and as a big moment for them growing up, as a big part of their Star Wars culture, which is really cool. But like there are a lot of quotes from Peyton Reed specifically, where I'm like, I think what you were trying to achieve here didn't exactly succeed on a story level.
They had like a weird point that they made that is very incorrect. I think.
I wonder if you're going to think the same thing that I'm thinking. I wrote down some stuff, so let's see what you said.
It specifically was a thing of just like the whole concept of handing Grogu over to Luke Skywalker, because their explanation that I heard them say was
the ET thing, right?
Well, not really just the ET thing, but they said a specific thing that was like Luke is like the one being who has had interaction with Yoda's species, so who better to hand off? And there was a couple things in my brain. Number one, no, Ahsoka has as well. But number two, Din doesn't know that. He doesn't know Luke's Yoda history.
It was a very interesting quote because Mark Hamill, I think, was the one who said that.
It was either Mark or
Dave. One of them said that. And I'm like, that seems very incorrect. Also, it was weird because I think I didn't know if he was trying to say that like Mark was the only one that interacted with like the puppet of Yoda, or was he talking about Luke interacting with the Yoda species? Because I think Mark interacted with the puppet Yoda in, of course, Dagobah twice in the original trilogy films. No other character went to Dagobah and ever interacted with Yoda.
And he does it again in Last Jedi.
And he does it again in Last Jedi. So really, it's very accurate there. So I couldn't tell if he was talking about that or like his species, because like you said, it seems very incorrect. But yeah, like they also mentioned the ET moment, and it's just a very weird comparison to me.
Well, it's funny because they said that, and I was like, don't you fucking do this to me. Don't you use my favorite movie of all time.
I thought of you too. I was like, that's definitely Nathan's thing.
And granted, that's the vibe I got when like it refocuses on them in the separation aspect, and I was like, yes, and I love that. But then R2 rolls in, and I'm like, fuck.
It's very interesting because I like there's a big difference between Mando season 2 ending, getting that ET moment, because we all realized they're like, oh, he's saying goodbye to his best friend. It's a very ET moment. It's been replicated a lot throughout film history.
To the door close. I mean,
yeah, like we've seen it a lot throughout TV shows, films. It's been seen a lot, but there's a big difference. ET, granted, there was a weird like semi-sequel thing that nobody talks about, or that they try and like
the concept that didn't
happen.
Nocturnal Fears.
But it's like that's the end of a movie. We know that ET and I forget the kid's name. Elliot will never see each other again. I mean, there's a possibility that they might.
The Comcast commercial, which was awesome.
Which is awesome, I agree. But there's like it's like a finite ending. It's like you're ending a movie. This is kind of what you want the audiences to believe. In contrast to the middle of a TV show, where guess what, guys? Raise your hand if you think Grogu is going to be gone from this entire series ever. Like, no. Like, we know Grogu's coming back. Like, so. If he's not, then that's a very awful ending to the character.
Well, yeah, you've also said forever that like there's no show without him.
I have,
and then they pulled that.
And then they pulled that, so I'm like, what's going on here? I do think Mando season 3, like as writers should, you got to give us time without Grogu at this point. Now, if you already pulled out the card, just keep going with it. But in Mando, I just think there's a big difference between the ET thing, because you get the moment where they're separating, which is a big part of the episode. I always did like that moment where you see Din take his mask off, you get Pedro's awesome acting there in that moment. But it's like, we know we're going to see him again. So what's really the point that you're doing this? Why are you having them separate?
The other point I'm remembering I wanted to touch on is another thing that was said by Dave, is that when you have someone like Luke, which actually you said like a Jedi in general, so it fits if it's any Jedi. Like the Plo Koon idea, which let's touch on real quick. fascinating, and even Dave was like,
Yeah.
everyone unanimously knows that he loves Plo Koon. So if that leaked, they'd be like, "Oh, of course he plugged Plo Koon in it," to really hide to the point that they made a CG model overcast over the actors.
Granted, I hope that this leaked, because if it did leak and I saw Plo Koon at the end of Mando, I'd still have the same reaction. Plo Koon is even weirder than Luke. I'm like,
I don't know if it's weird.
That would make no sense.
I don't know. Well,
no sense at all.
Well, yeah, it's bizarre because we literally saw him blow up in the Starfighter.
Granted, even without that, I'm like, people survive shit all the time in Star Wars. Maybe he survived in space, but I'm just like,
Mace Windu syndrome.
If I heard a rumor like, "Hey Evan, there's a rumor that Plo Koon might be in the end of Mando," I'm like, really? My thing was there doesn't need to be any Jedi at all. This show was built on no like crazy Force users. There didn't need to be a Jedi at all. That was my thing.
That was another thing, and it's when we have it in the context of Luke. Dave was saying a quote that was like, when they stop to pause, and to see this Jedi entering, it's like really like opening that world more for the characters. And I was like, okay, sure, it's opening it for the characters. However, you're shrinking the franchise by doing this more, because when we started, I always have this same point. It's like when we started Mandalorian, it was like it's way out there. Like thinking back to when we all watched the footage of Celebration before season 1 even dropped, before there was even knowledge of a Grogu or that name. We were watching cool bounty hunter shit going through like the seedy underbelly of like the outskirts and outlawness of the galaxy. And it was like cool, and it was its own thing separate from the fucking Republican shit, all that, and it was its own lone gunslinger thing.
Speak on it.
Lone gunslinger thing. And it was going about, and it was really cool. And then even when we did introduce the child, season 1 still primarily kept it. Granted, there was like Imperial entanglement because there's remnants, but that's still like a cool concept of thinking like there's this Force user you want to call. That's a cool concept, cool, but we're still like staying on these outskirts, getting these different connections, even though we're bouncing planet to planet, which get a little jarring at times because that seems like it's every episode ever.
That's Star Wars in general. Watch the Clone Wars and watch Rebels, and guess what happens? Yeah.
Well, for sure. But at least you get like a lot of like return back to Coruscant, return back to Naboo and stuff. Here it was like it's just like it was its own thing, and then you get to season 2, and the first like 4 episodes was like, okay, we're its own thing. Frog Lady, we're having fun, fucking spiders and shit. Oh, cool. And then it was like, Bo-Katan's here, but Amando, cool. And then it's like, find Ahsoka, okay? Where's Thrawn? Excuse me? Boba Fett's here. Fuck. Luke's here. Let's stare. It's odd because it effectively regroups it back into the flow of the Skywalker saga by having a Skywalker. And it's just like that's not how you originally pitched the idea of the show that we thought we were getting into. And that's why I'm of the standpoint that I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, is because we had to, like, Carson said this before too, you still wrote it in a way that it meets to like people observing a Jedi and taking away from the focus of Din. And yes, you have that moment, there's separation and stuff, but you still are like taking time out of like the heat of the stuff with the Gideon thing, and we're watching a monitor. Literally watching a monitor.
A literal monitor.
Like, literal monitor.
It's quite literally rolling out the red carpet and saying, "Look who it is."
And
so if you're gonna do it tame to the characters, you don't roll out the red carpet and.
They said the same thing too. They were like, it basically is like that because they're like down to like you see the starship, to like the black and gray monitor, to the green lightsaber, the cloak, to like the hood, and it's like it's the overall build up rolling through.
They were like, people are gonna be asking themselves, is that really Luke Skywalker? People
which I was too, and I was I mean, I remember I was there. I was like, fuck, is that Luke? Okay, it is Luke. Is it Sebastian Stan? Like fucking like doing all that shit. And here's the thing of like my addressing this fucking, let this be the fucking nail in the coffin because I'm tired. The thing with Luke here is just like, look, man, fan services can be fun. I'm not denying that. The Kenobi show, I'm fully expecting that to be a large majority fan service, and I will eat it up happily because I'm knowingly getting into, this is a show that's going to have Obi-Wan with Vader in it, and we know this. Mando was pitched to me as a lone bounty hunter going through the galaxy, taking missions, and escorting this child. Cool. But now you're introducing this new stuff that you're plugging in, trying to get like an overarching MCU style branch of like connected properties, which is not what I entered into this for.
Right, and it hasn't even developed itself. Like, I still think Evan's point of like Din's character, for example, like it's been 2 seasons, like, and
who are you?
For what?
Who are you? What is it that you do here?
He doesn't really make that many choices besides the same stuff every week.
Yeah.
Give me more of. Will he settle with the lady in the Bryce Dallas Howard episode of season 1?
That was
like,
awesome.
Stuff like that.
And we were so close to getting that in season 2 because his main crux of his character, hell, the title of the show is called The Mandalorian, and we'll get into like possible end game for the future of the show. But like the show is called The Mandalorian. We figure the concept of Mandalore, which is teased the finale of season 1 of what happened to Mandalore, is going to be a big plot point, and we almost got there in the first half of season 2 with Bo-Katan, the Darksaber. I'm like, okay, I like this stuff a lot.
And that's the thing too, is like we thought we would at least get like an explanation of like where we're going, because like Din now is the mantle holder of the Darksaber, and there's a conflict with Bo. It's like, cool, this is a cool thing to explore. Maybe we'll get a few more Gideon lines to like really like flesh out like where we're going with this. Like, how are we going to resolve? The fucking X-wing flies by, and then majority of the episode runtime left is spotlight Luke, start saying goodbye to Grogu. R2 rolls in, so another quick pull away.
Yeah,
from that
it
moment.
was like it's like emotion. No, R2D2. And I'm like,
nostalgia emotion, but not Din emotion. It's because for Din, that's just another fucking astromech, and he didn't like droids for a lot of the time anyway. And then he hands him off, and he says goodbye, and then it's just over. And it's like, I know you're saving it for season 3.
Granted, it's a multi-season TV show.
Yeah,
but
and then they have the fucking audacity to.
But again, it goes back
scene for Book of Boba Fett.
I know, right? Yeah, their end credit scene has nothing to do with their current show. Granted,
right, and that I think that's the biggest. That's the biggest weird taste in my mouth. Is they're like, oh, we're gonna put a pause on it because all of our other shows are going to become this multifaceted series event 3 years down the line. And so then it's like, well, are you even confident in developing your main show that started it? Like,
let's talk about who Din is. Come on.
So it's just so weird.
And there's a direct quote from this documentary where Peyton Reed, I wrote down the quote because I was just laughing. It said, there's a version of this scene where he, in reference to Luke Skywalker, usurps all the drama, and they didn't want to accomplish that. They didn't want to do a scene where he usurps all the drama.
What?
And I'm like,
what?
That's what happened.
The editing room. Was the editor not sitting there like, I don't know, man. I think it's usurps the drama. Back on Iron Man, I had this exact scenario.
Even if he had like R2 come at the same moment, it would have helped lessen take away that like set down goodbye. But you do have R2 come in after that. It's like,
I think Payne's goal here, like in his like in the context of that sentence, he was saying there's a version where he usurps all the drama, but we wanted to keep the tension between Grogu leaving Din. We wanted to keep that high. And granted, again, that is like one of the best scenes in this episode where he's like saying goodbye. But also, I literally remember pausing my TV. There's like 25 minutes after like the discussion between Din and Bo-Katan where it's all about Luke. And I'm like, there's 20 minutes of screen time with like
that's half the episode.
It's like half the episode where Luke comes in, he defeats the robots, and then they have a long discussion. He walks away, and then granted there's long credits and stuff. Then we get the Boba Fett thing. Yeah. But I'm like, nearly half the episode is about, or the last third of the episode is all about Luke. And he does usurp all the drama. Granted, that's the point of the episode. Like, it's written in a way that he takes a pause on Bo-Katan, the Darksaber, and Din. Like, the whole arc. And I keep forgetting about Moff Gideon. He's not really relevant because he's a terrible
Honestly, you know what character. I'm trying to, like, plug this together. But, like, what probably would have been a cooler resolution, like, even if you wanted to, like, cliffhanger it at, like, the droids starting to come up, and then it's like, how the fuck are we gonna get out of this one? Tune in next time. Like, another ending you could have had is like, all right, Bo's at a really big confliction right now with Din, but we need to fight our way out of this, and also somehow carry Din with us. We got to fight off these troopers. We got a Darksaber here. That would be a good way to slice through. Fun combat there, and then we just start to like make our way out, and then leaving off with the lingering drama between Bo. Maybe she has like some obsessive looks over the hilt and stuff, and just like starts looking at Din differently, and then leave it off there. Be more impactful than here's that memory we all grew up with.
Yeah, like I know they like going for the big memory, and ever since that episode 16 where what's up, Ben, the best mod in the business, ever since that episode, I think it was 6, where we see 6 of season 2, where we see him talking to like he's on top of the mountain and he's communicating with the Jedi. I'm like, okay, so this is obvious setup for Luke. At that point, like I didn't want it to be Luke, but at that point I'm like, there's a 90% chance it's Luke. And so they wrote it in that sense that where Luke had to come in. But as we were theorizing before the finale, it would have made a lot more sense if Bo-Katan was the one like being the driving antagonist during that scene. Very similar to the conflict people had with WandaVision, where it's like, oh, is Wanda a villain? Is she an antagonist? What's going on here?
I am shocked. There was no, if I'm remembering right, there was not even an ultimatum that Moff Gideon like kind of could have posed and been like, the saber for the child. I was waiting for that moment to be like.
I think they played up the idea. Well, not the saber, but like they were playing up the idea of like, get off my ship, you can have the child. But it was like a double cross. It was like not for real.
It was like a 2-second double cross because he turns around and he hits his back and Din's like, ouch, like what are you doing?
And then like he was surprised he was left alive, and he was like, somehow yet also part of the plan of just like, yes, this will do nicely. Like what?
Yeah. It was just really weird. And there was a ton of scenarios where, regardless of Yoda communicating with Luke, you could have had a scene where Luke comes in like the end of season 3. They didn't have to immediately do it 2 episodes later. Yeah. But having Bo-Katan come in and being the driving force there would have been amazing, especially because it leads into one of the main issues we have with the show is that whenever there's a chance for good character development for Din, it's like cut to action scene because the audience can't take it. It's like with the Boba Fett episode, he's like, oh, I didn't like Boba Fett joining the show, but we could get a cool scene here where Boba Fett's not really a true Mandalorian. Din is kind of. So it's like, let's have these two. Yeah, exactly. So let's have these two have a good discussion about it. And they were getting there. And then it's like, oh, stormtroopers come. And I'm like, oh, come on.
And it sucks because they blended that so well with Cobb Vanth as a challenge to Din's character. Yeah. And they could have done that with each of the new characters that showed up. But instead, they cut it off at the exposition of just the answer for them being there instead of going the extra step like they did, I think, with Cobb Vanth and contextualizing and saying, hey, this is a challenge to Din because XYZ, which I think the Cobb Vanth episode did so well.
Remember when I pitched the duality of Mando of like Bo's like sense of honor versus
we said we're gonna see a Mando triangle of honor and code and allegiance, and we're explaining, we're like
break the mold and shit
we're in the fucking writer's room and then we just bamboozled.
We're in the writer's room.
It's like that one meme where like that one guy raises his hand in the meeting. He's like, "How about we do this?" And they kick him out of the office. It's like
out the window.
It's like the George Lucas skit where he's like hitting the guy, and I love that shit.
Oh god,
that's amazing.
Man, also just like there was another thing that was like where I was the duality of man because Dave was talking about Jon Favreau, and he was like, if you bring a Luke in, you get R2, and like the left side of my brain was like with him when it was just like, the excitement of like, working with R2 and stuff. That is cool because I would see that shit in BTS all the time for the prequels, for the sequels, because it's all fucking legacy. But when we're on a spin-off show, my right side of my brain was like, Dave, what are you doing? That's the prop. Dave, come here, buddy. That's not. Oh, come on, wake up.
That's the problem. Which is so weird to think of Dave as like shoehorning in, and I'll say shoehorning because it is shoehorned. Like you're shoehorning in Luke, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, in comparison to his writing on Rebels, where yes, you do see a Maul, you do see like not Bo-Katan. Is Bo-Katan in Rebels? No.
Yeah.
She is. Yeah, season 4
But they
Rebels.
blend in,
like, but
into
they
the
blend it
moments.
in, and they have like an arc. Like Bo-Katan has a 4-episode character arc. Sabine has a character arc. Granted, there's less time on
Right.
Mando, but also Mando has twice as long as Rebels. It's a 40-minute show compared to 20 minutes.
It would be.
So I'm like, you
I
have
feel
time
like-
for character arcs.
I feel like it'd be one thing if like we had like more episode with Luke, because when I think of stuff like Rebels, like they bring in like Lando or Leia, it's like they're in there majority of the episodes help function because it's like Leia's helping with the structure of the rebellion, or like Lando's like, hey, I can get you like this pieces you need because that's where he fits in the galaxy. And like, yeah, it's cool.
And even Lando coming in, it's like, oh yeah, he makes sense because he's a hauler and he helps people out. But also in the context of Rebels, it makes sense because they're not fully part of the Rebels yet. Lando kind of is. So then you're helping out, like set that stage up, and then it helps for characters like Kanan, who's like, hey, should we join at this point? What should we do? And characters like Lando, like helping out Leia, like helping out Mon Mothma, really helps set the stage for the Rebels as a family. But then coming into here, and again, Rebels, they talk about it. They have actual character moments on Mando. You're so close to having something, but like Carson said, it's all like subtextual, which isn't always bad. But when the whole show is subtext because your character has a mask on, that's when it leaves a lot to be desired. Just like the Marshal was so great because we got a lot of good stuff, and even like the physicality of Mando, like respecting the Marshal at the end of Cobb Vanth at the end of the episode, it made sense. But then towards the end of the season, we don't really see a good resolution between him and Boba. They just kind of like become buddies because he rescues him and saves him, but it's like we don't get a continuation.
It gets dropped off. It gets dropped off just as Boba Fett as a taxi driver. It's just like
he literally just drives him around for episode 7 and episode 8, and then he gets his spin-off.
It's wild to think like episode 7, because like we do have like that great moment where like Din decides to just like screw the mask code.
Great episode.
We needed like 7 more of those choices.
We do.
Choices.
No, but that's my point too. Is like we get to that point and it's like, oh shit, it's big. That's pretty fucking profound in this moment right now. Now we have a moment that or not, and then fucking 10 minutes later, seismic charge. Which yes,
that's the one pass I fucking give.
Yeah, I gave that one a pass. But yeah, you're right. It's just
okay, I mean, I fucking love it, but it's just like.
But the show can't help itself, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's one of the things where the show can't help itself.
It's like it thinks like it's like jingling keys at a baby. It's like I don't think we have the attention span to just like let's roll with it. It's just like more pew pew, fucking weekly adventure.
I go back to that set or that quote of I think John said it. This is from just in time of season 2 era. I think they're like, oh yeah, like it was super cool because it's like a toy chest where we get to,
sandbox,
I can't remember what the quote was, but it was very like indicative of how I think the show is written and structured.
Well, I remember
for the most
that.
Part.
I remember that in the Disney Gallery season 1, and I remember praising it because of the way they did it. Like the way they were explaining how they use fan service was just like, taking the background droid from Empire, but then actually like making a full-fledged character out of that, the same model. Like that's fucking fun. That's cool. But then season 2, they did it like all the wrong ways, where they're just like bringing Ahsoka and just like another like side quest here, and then here's Boba Fett fucking rocking that action.
Yeah, I still have, regardless of the Luke thing, the Ahsoka one is still like the biggest. I don't know the phrase, like thorn in my side for season 2, because it really, really just was a backdoor pilot for Ahsoka. Like Din's character didn't really grow a lot as a character. Granted, people confuse like a character gaining information to character development. Din got a lot of information in that episode about where Grogu came from. Like he was a past Jedi who had training, which is still very weird. And then it's like he learned his name and everything, which is cool. But Din got a lot of information in that episode.
Yeah.
But he didn't really grow in that episode. It's like nothing really changed in terms of his relationship to Grogu.
But also, the information he was given outside of the name, does it really like benefit anything at all?
Exactly.
Like, oh yeah, Grogu was trained to the temple.
Okay.
That doesn't help us higher. That doesn't
Yeah,
help.
doesn't help us at all. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's really cool. But otherwise, doesn't really connect with the show at all. Yeah. But
For this special, the filmmaking aspect of it, I'm nerdy about, and I like it's the stuff of things that got me into wanting to be a filmmaker in the first place. Watching special features off of different DVDs, it's my bread and butter. I love it. And, like, even if it's for like these pretenses, the way they like go about explaining their executions and how they ran through different technologies of deep fake versus like real creation, and like
that was cool.
Like that was really cool, and like how they had to like. They got Sarah Haley Finnan, Unsung Heroes of Hollywood. How they had to like put out a cast call for someone that looks like a young Mark, but they couldn't say that because it's too obvious. So they had to go off of like her contacts she knew for someone who would match, and she found somebody.
Max.
Yeah, Max. I can't remember his last name. I'm so sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, they just called him Max all the time.
Right.
But I agree with you. There were some very cool things that like only Dave Filoni would know to do. It's like we haven't seen Luke fight except in Return of the Jedi. And it's always a fun thing the Star Wars nerds freak out about. It's like, how strong is Luke by the end of Return of the Jedi? Because he defeats Vader, but it's a Vader that wasn't really trying to kill Luke. He's
Honestly,
way weaker. So it's very interesting.
Honestly, like a point they were touching on, which I thought was like pretty interesting, how they were just like, everyone remembers Luke's black cloak, but actually on set it was like a shade of brown, and it was just about the lighting, and I was like, shit, I didn't actually know that. Like,
yeah,
me neither. Yeah, because the Death Star too is so dark, and Endor is like it's at night and everything like that.
Palace is dark as well.
Dark Palace is dark. Like it seems pretty black. Like when he's walking along Endor during the daytime.
Actually, you can see it now. I'm thinking where I remember it most vividly being that color is in the deleted lightsaber scene when he's fixing his lightsaber.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I remember when he's in that Tatooine hut where it's like
It always
pretty
feels
brown.
like it always feels like I'm watching like a bootleg from Celebration. Like whenever I view
It does.
Yeah.
Even when they release the HD, it still feels like.
Yeah.
I
did really like when Filoni is like, so we have never seen Luke really duel since Return of the Jedi, and he doesn't really have a mentor. So we have to figure out the way that he swings his lightsaber, the way that he actually fights in a way that makes sense to his Return of the Jedi, but also it has to be like he evolved because it's 5 years later. He's had to have gotten stronger.
One of my favorite directions, because I'm all about the fucking like hand shit, like especially like like when I would watch like Scarlet Witch BTS shit, and how like Elizabeth has like made it second nature because she like taught herself. They were talking about like how Luke would go about, you know, like crushing this droid. Would he like literally just like make a motion to crush it, or would he just like simply do it? Like different stuff like that. And I thought like stage direction like that is always really cool. R2 was green on set.
Oh yeah,
which was weird. I was like, you could just.
He was.
Yeah, I don't know why they had to like color.
Oh, was there a set extension that was blue?
Maybe, I don't know. It was just like his panels were green.
Yeah, I bet you because there was a set extension that was blue, and then when they went to key the color
his
out,
behind is blue. Yeah.
Yeah, when they went to key the color out, it would have interfered. I mean.
Okay. Yeah, because they have to have the green saber, so they. Can,
makes sense. It makes sense.
Make sense.
Yeah.
I remember they were also going into just like the different like light indicator on R2's face of like depending on like what tells his mood, and I was like, this shit is fucking cool, man. I'm a nerd and this is cool. I can't deny. Like even when they go into like getting to work with R2 and like John's talking about working with these characters and then he starts getting choked up, I'm like, this is why I can't be fucking mad anymore, damn it. Like fuck.
Yeah, he started getting choked up talking about being a role model to people like he was when he was growing up.
Yeah, he was talking about how like, you know, we always like showcase like growing up with like these different things, but then now the generation is growing. They're showing to their kids like all at once while you're experiencing new stories. And it's just like, damn, that is Star Wars.
Yeah.
That is the core of it.
I think that's a good point too, because how I'm trying to view it X many months past all of this is, you know, someone's going to eventually view this without any of, you know, just all the junk that we consume in terms of knowing everything and knowing every behind-the-scenes detail and every piece of news and how the behind-the-scenes thing developed. And so part of me wishes that I was, you know, a 8-year-old or 10-year-old kid right now, removed from it, kind of all the internet discourse, as you will, and kind of just experience these things, and I just wonder what that would be like, you know, in terms of my Star Wars experience, because I think we all had like just like those random episodes or different random like things like that, like a Lego set or whatever. So I'm always appreciative that this will pique somebody's curiosity in terms of becoming more interested in the overlapping stories and stuff. So I can't knock that, because I think that's incredibly special, whether it's Forces of Destiny, The Clone Wars, or The Mandalorian, or literally any piece of content. Like, I don't think it's harmful that someone will become a Star Wars fan because of it. So that's what I'm trying to like hold out hope for, because I know, and it sounds like this documentary is kind of about that, trying to convey that. And like, hell, if I was making Star Wars, I would be wrapped up into that, because then I would feel responsible. And so then it's like you get into your own echo chamber of trying to fill that role model. And I think that's kind of unavoidable sometimes. And I guess so be it. So that's where I'm kind of at. I'm just like, all right, And it's so, like, we may complain about how everything's like shrunk down, but like, there's so much stuff coming out nowadays that like I'm perfectly content sitting over here with my High Republic comics and letting this become the big mainstream thing. Like, I'm fine. Like, I don't need to like
Visions.
Because not everything needs to be directly for me, and that's okay.
Yeah. Also, I want to get into some of the stuff going on about like the rumors about the ending of Mando.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention
which
that.
we shot. I did want to like jump off Carton's point real quick.
Yeah, sure.
It's like yeah, for sure. It doesn't have to be for us. It's just it is like a sucky situation when we went into it as one.
When we get roped in and then like, oh, this is cool because
thinking this is like it's one thing and that is for us, but then it evolved into something not, and so we have hope for the future that it'll do its own thing. Hopefully it could, but I suppose we shall see.
Exactly. But yeah, Jordan Mason was talking about the Mandalorian, because there are rumors. Some random website said like the Mandalorian is ending with season 3, and people are like, really? That seems a bit abrupt. But Jordan Mason from Cinelinx, he said the stuff going around about Mando season 3, he hasn't heard anything about the show ending at season 3. He's been hearing at season 4, but there is an end planned. If it ends, I've also heard that it will just morph into a new show that sticks with the characters / time period, but under a new name. For example, hypothetically, imagine a story point where the show changes to The Mandalore or something instead of The Mandalorian. Again, sticking with the same characters and time period, but evolving into something new.
And maybe that's what they're going for in terms of bridging all these other spin-offs together, is like that it's going to lead to some grander thing, and then Mandalorian will outgrow itself in a way, which like we just discussed the last 40 minutes, we kind of felt like it did in the
new
finale. But
new video essay, The Last Jedi made me too smart.
Give me too much hope.
That being said, if it does morph into, like, say after season 4, it morphs into exclusively the Mandalore stuff, I can't see them creating a title so similar, because it would be just way too confusing for people.
Yeah, I don't think it definitely won't be like the Mandalore. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah, if it but keeping it like the concept, if Din's story ended upon like one more season, and I wouldn't take any credence of just like, oh, they have an ending planned. I mean, I have an ending planned for my show, and I have 6 seasons planned. I haven't even released it.
Endings being planned is a good thing.
That is a good thing. Yeah,
it's something we needed. This
isn't a Game of Thrones, so yeah. So there is promise there, and hearing Dave and John talk about writing. Just in the first couple of lines in the documentary, they talked about like they wanted to keep it very consistent. They wanted to keep everything connected and for it to make logical sense. So I think for them, they always had an end in mind. I trust them as writers to at least have an ending, regardless of if it's the way that we want it to be or not. I think they always have an ending in mind.
I'm trying to think, because like if we were following Din's story for only one more season,
oof,
and because in my mind I'm thinking that's way too short. But on the other hand, I've now had 3 Marvel properties that have told a pretty compelling character journey 3 times in a row.
In one season!
In one season, yes. So I would say, so at first I was like, isn't it like too much to go over like the hierarchy of the Mandalorian and get Din even emotionally involved in it? But I think it would be possible if you matched the 8-episode run, maybe up to 10, keep it a 40-ish minute runtime for each episode, and really focus in on being with Din majority of the time, going through the different stipulations of like, here's viewpoint A, B, C, different interarching things.
Yeah.
You could send off with a very compelling story, but do I trust that is something that would happen is a question after what we went through in the last season.
That's a very good point, Nathan, because it's astonishing how much we got out of, like, and I hate comparing Star Wars to Marvel because they're very different properties, but Wanda...
It used to be a bad thing when we were just like, oh,
I know, right?
Super interconnectivity.
But WandaVision was so, like, self-contained to its own universe, and Wanda and Vision both had very compelling character arcs in one season, 6 episodes, or however long WandaVision was. Loki, 9. WandaVision 9, Loki was 6, and Loki had Loki's still my favorite Disney Plus show right now. Loki and Sylvie had a fantastic character arcs, and all we really...
Soldier was also pretty good, and that was...
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier is 6 episodes, so, like, you can do character journeys in 6 episodes or less. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be 6 episodes. Granted, that's different because Obi-Wan had, like, 6 movies, but still, like... There is time for Mando, if he has like his mask off, especially, to just be a more down-to-earth character journey for him in one season. I wouldn't really be upset, but again, exactly what Nathan said, it's all about the execution. And if they go the cameo, like having an episode solely about Ahsoka again or something like that, then we might not achieve that level.
What I want the most is for everyone to just stand in a room and like didn't take his mask off and everybody freak out and like, oh, then they just start talking about like, oh, you're a piece of shit, you're not a real man, and then everyone is just like questioning each other, and then those rifts lead to the bigger implications with the Empire, and maybe I think there's just so much there in terms of like,
imagine a discussion where Din's in the middle and you have Bo on one side and like the armorer in the other.
That's what I want, and that's what I thought we were going to get at some point. We
didn't see the armor or any of like the other Mandos who fled at the end of season 1.
And they got to be pissed. They got to be pissed at this point towards Din, right?
Yeah, that'd be very interesting.
And God, how interesting would it be to explore like the different viewpoints? Because we know from Bo that like Din was a part of a cultish Mando section of just like no you can't like show your face code, whereas like she's about just fucking ruling the people to the better and shit, like
and like, even Bo is radicalized in a way of revenge right now, so that's so interesting,
which could also be an interesting exploration of like if it really does have to fall on Din right now, like I imagine Bo's gonna really want like a lot of input, like on
right, and then it's like I would love to see those frustrations build up in Din, and then like be like, motherfucker, like you're telling me that I'm a cult, and then you're over here obsessing over this little piece of metal. Like, get it together, lady.
You want me to fight you? I can't just hand you the saber. I have to fight you. Right. That makes no sense.
And then like I would love Din to have this grandstand moment, like, look. The Empire is still out there, and it's threatening our people collectively, not just blah, blah, blah. And, like, stand for something, Din. Make an opinion on it. I don't know.
Which would be cool.
Have an opinion, please.
Which would be cool is, like, if he did, and then he starts seeing, like, hey, maybe, Bo, maybe you're not going the right way about this.
And then maybe his leadership qualities can shine through, and it's like they can all figure out collectively that it doesn't need to be this dick measuring contest with the Darksaber. And then that would be good for everybody, and then they would be like, and then they can collectively go fight this big threat. Obviously, it's going to keep going with Moff Gideon. It makes so much sense. Do I think they're going to go that route? No, but I hope it does.
Which is insane
I'm so
to
fucking
me.
depressed, dude. I feel like we're falling into the fucking same thing for season 2. Where we're
I know.
the duality of Mando. And
Which is
then,
insane to me because guess what was the last scene we saw in season 1? The Darksaber. And guess how much like influence it had on season 2? Not much. And in season 2, granted, the Darksaber thing was left like plot thread hanging.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that should be what people are talking about, but they're not. There's a whole documentary about the making of the season 2 finale, but it's all about Luke, not the Darksaber.
Not into what the season.
You know what I
tried
really,
to build up. Yeah.
You know what I really worry was like the development thinking of like Mando as a show in general. Is like they were going into it and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have like this dude on the outskirts. But let's put in this Force user, and that could be fun." And then like as they were getting toward the end, they were like, "Yeah, I think it'd be fun to plug the Darksaber." And then they were like, "Wait, there's a better story here." And they're like, "Fuck! Like, how do we do with Grogu?" So I feel like season 2 was just like, how do we juggle him out of here? Which feels awful. But it almost like feels like that could be like a reasoning of why we
exactly. I mean, I hate being the pessimist, but it's always gone back to the idea of that Jon Favreau always wanted to do the Boba Fett show, but remember they're going to do the movie, but then they scrapped it, and then all of a sudden we had this. Then all of a sudden we had this Mandalorian show. It's like where a guy was wearing Mandalorian armor, but isn't named Boba Fett, but Boba Fett comes in later on, and he's heavily teased in season 1. So
it feels like it was like their gateway because they
exactly
like, he's got the taser from the holiday special, just like Boba, and like.
So it's like John always wanted to do it, but he's had to go the original character route, which is great, but then it delves into.
And granted, we've always been like people who are like, yeah, we're on board with Dave cherry picking from Legends for new material. Like that's cool, but like
it doesn't draw attention to itself though. Is the issue?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still shocked. Like I loved Nathan. I thought Nathan's idea of like that the end of the season 2 finale was almost like a race against the clock, and they were about to go into hyperspace. And then we just miss Grogu. Like, he just gets taken and boom, we're in hyperspace. Yes! Yeah. It made way more sense than for a season 2 ending. You know what I mean?
I was so on board for that, yeah.
Oh my god, I fucking imagine if, like, season 3 was, like, exploring more of Moff Gideon while he's, like, dealing with Grogu, and maybe you're getting more of his personality as he's communicating with him.
Man, that'd been awesome. There's so many anime that I watch where it's just like when your friends are leaving and you're trying to rescue them, they leave behind. I don't know if you guys have seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, yes.
There's an unbelievable, one of my favorite scenes in all of TV where, I don't want to heavily spoil it, but when his brother, Ed is trying to get his brother's soul back and the gates to hell are closing. He opens the door and they play the ending and I get tears in my eyes every time I think about it. And I want something like that. And after the Last Airbender did it in season 2, is like you can do this. Like you can have it where it's like the villains can win a season. Hell, Avengers Infinity War. Like we were so close to it, and they didn't do it. And Nathan's idea was just so good, and I really wanted it to happen. I thought it had a high. I remember I was 50-50 that it was going to happen. That they won't get Grogu.
You guys are really validating me as a writer.
Right, and it would have validated Moff Gideon as an actual villain, too, after all this standing around on the whatever. Yeah,
they really thirsty season 8 Moff Gideon. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
So
not good. Well, also, going into this rumor, didn't John Carlos Esposito, just a couple years ago, said, like, the writers told him that there was a 4 to 5 year plan for his character. Which is already funny because we're 2 seasons in and got nothing.
I vaguely remember that, but also my brain is clouded from I broke 4 sabers on sale.
For 2 minutes.
Like, oh shit, it's going down. I guess it did.
It did. It was a cool fight.
It was.
It was very cool, and I respect Giancarlo for doing some of that because he didn't do all of it. But yeah, that was very interesting. But do you guys have any more thoughts on
Stuntman?
That was very cool. I mean, flipping the saber with the kick, that was pretty cool.
I lived exclusively through this episode through Noah's and the collective Star Wars fandom's thirst tweets of this the stand-in actor for Luke.
The Luke. Yeah.
Max
something, yeah.
People like Max. Yeah. Good guy. Max von Sydow's son.
Imagine.
Max Jr. But do you guys have any other thoughts on Mando?
I could talk for hours about it, but
Yeah.
I
We
don't want to
probably
be
will
like
when-
an asshole who's like, be better. But like,
when the season 3 trailer comes out. Talk about be better though. There is another topic I want to get into, where going back to Solo, a Star Wars
yeah.
story.
what happened? Solo 2.
Sandy Newton had some thoughts about Solo, a Star Wars story, and predictably, they weren't good. As people forget, Sandy Newton was killed in Solo, Star Wars story in 2018. But when she was doing press for Reminiscence, somebody asked her about the character, and she said, quote, in the script, Val wasn't killed. It happened during filming. So as she says, that's what originally was, at the explosion, and she falls out, and you don't know where she's gone. So I could have come back at some point, but when we came to filming, as far as I was concerned and was aware, when it came to filming that scene, it was too huge a set piece to create. So they just had to blow me up, and I'm done.
Do you guys?
Yeah.
You guys think she's talking about the Lord and Miller script?
I think just the finished. I think the finished script. I think the Ron
the
Howard
Kazan
script. Yeah, I think the Kazan.
it was always the Kazans.
Yeah, I think she said herself like, "This is a big mistake. Not because of me, but not because I wanted to come back. You don't kill our first black woman to ever have a real role in a Star Wars movie. Like, are you effing joking?"
Yeah, it's bad too because I remember at the time doing the interviews, and she had brought her parents to the premiere.
Ooh.
And they were all excited to like see her, and then and then she died, and they're like, "That's it." Like, they're like leaning over to her and like talking to her, I think, and she was like, "Yeah," but so I feel really bad because it's like, it almost feels like just a ramification of just a horrible production. Because let's face it, it was a horrible production.
Awful.
It was a salvaged.
Yeah.
Production.
I mean, it was a $300 million movie by the end of this puppy. Like
$300 million movie that they wedged in between Infinity War, Deadpool 2, and fucking Jurassic World.
And it was 6 months after The Last Jedi, and it was just so much. And yeah, it's so fascinating because I still like Solo a lot. I think it's a very underrated movie.
Oh,
but
yeah, I love the movie.
In terms of her character, it's still one of the big negatives for me, especially when you watch it in completion. There's no reason that she had to die at all. Like, I think Woody Harrelson's character was great. I love Woody. Beckett isn't the most well-characterized character. I think they only give her death so that he has like some kind of anchor to be like the way he is, like the way he treats Han later in the
and
film.
for Han to like see the stakes of like that lifestyle. But
exactly, yep.
It's still, you could have given that to him just to the illusion of the whole coaxium decision to drop it, which is still in the movie, and the argument is between them, and all the stakes and risks and stuff that Woody Harrelson's character Beckett is talking about are still there. So really, Val is just this tiny thread that then we get this one morning scene, and then she's never mentioned again really explicitly in Beckett's character, which I think is a shame.
You could have had the same argument like after the failed job with her there of being like, just like this kid screwed up, like, just get out here. But then you could have had Val's character recognize that Han's doing this just so he can get back with his love, and like Val and Beckett are a thing, so like, you could have like played more off of that, like the duality of like, do we let the kid in or not? And it's like, for sure, like you could have like kept her around for sure.
Exactly. And yeah, and especially because you created that one spin-off comic. I don't know if you guys have ever read it, where there's this one spin-off comic book where they just go into Beckett as a character, and I'm like, you could have had this for Val, and he talks about Val in that comic book. I'm just like, Val was such a interesting character because I love Sandy Newton. I love her in Westworld, and having her in the Star Wars universe was huge. I remember when she was cast, I was so hyped. But her character, unfortunately, is pretty wasted in the final cut of the movie. And I think she could have had some very interesting scenes with Han later in the movie too, that they just had to basically replace with Woody Harrelson. Yeah, pretty unfortunate. And then I want to get into the very interesting Kenobi Darth Vader scoop from Star Wars Newsnet that had people going crazy. I wanted to see if I can, so you guys can share this. Let me just put it in the DMs real quick, so when you guys can share it. But yeah, it's very interesting because there's some concept art in terms of the character that people are getting hyped about. Because when we talk about Hayden Christensen coming back for Kenobi, it was very curious because like why are they bringing back Hayden if we're bringing back Darth Vader? Like you don't really need Hayden to be in the suit necessarily.
Unless you're doing flashbacks.
Exactly, unless you're doing flashbacks. So it's very interesting. So yeah, they talk about spoilers below, and there's some concept art as you scroll down in terms of like the Bacta and everything.
Right. Which mirrors the Rogue One design.
Exactly. So yeah, a lot of this is going to be very similar to what we saw in Rogue One. And when does this show take place again, Kenobi?
It's
Is it like it's close to Revenge of the Sith time, right?
Yeah, I think I want to say
because Luke is like very young. Like they already casted children.
I thought they were casting like 5-year-olds, weren't they?
Something like that. So it could be like 5 or 6 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Jedi
so yeah,
Fallen Order era.
Imagine like Hayden Christensen in that kind of suit right there. That's pretty interesting. Having him, because we are still getting that rematch of the century, so that's gonna be very cool.
It's crazy in Rogue One that they just had like a puppet in a suit in the tank.
Oh yeah.
But to have like Hayden actually like in makeup and stuff could definitely be really compelling exploration, especially if we're getting like his anguish side.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, just imagining. I mean, Deborah Chow having Hayden in like the Bacta suit and having him like act it out because it was very cool to see in Rogue One, but we didn't really get much from it. Kind of like transitioned, and the next thing you know is Vader walking. But imagine seeing just Vader stewing in there.
Yeah, I think this is exciting. Like really seeing him go through to survive his current state.
Oh my god! Yeah, we haven't really seen that.
Imagine a like suit up scene, and there's just like a real like momentary like spot where like once the respirator's connected, then he has like a really like quick breath, like that he can finally like function again.
Right,
because the tank and
I do think why he's in the show is going to be mirroring their tragedy of falling out together and kind of going through emotions through the Force and different interactions of things. Which is exciting. I hope that angle is played up, and this kind of makes it seem like it will be, which is cool.
I fully agree. And as I'm thinking about this now, and as we're seeing the concept art, it's like I never really thought of the Kenobi show as kind of like as a parallel kind of show. Same thing for Loki. I never knew like Loki was going to be a two-hander between him and Sylvie. But seeing both like, hey, Kenobi, Anakin, two prominent Jedi in the Jedi Order, how are they both like going through the motions after their big falling out? We see Kenobi all alone on Tatooine, and then Anakin's perspective is that he's all alone in a Bacta tank going through constant pain 24 hours a day. That's going to be very interesting to see that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this whole, like...
What does that say?
It's possible to see him fighting Kenobi either unmasked or with a damaged mask, which goes back to this whole... You don't want to see them fight, the whole canon stipulation with how it's contextualized with the line of like they don't see each other until that certain point.
Yeah. Which I still like. This is that one big thing I'm still iffy about in terms of Anakin and them fighting. But I do have.
I want a Force fight. I want a Force Vision fight. They don't have to be in the physical location. They obviously are still. I think we've even had this in canon. I
think I pitched this a similar thing. Carson, motherfucker, if you read certain point of view, in the Yoda story, when like Yoda's like feeling around for like the presence, I think specifically looking for Obi-Wan, he links this dark yet familiar presence, and he realizes Anakin, fucked up as he is as Vader, and
yes,
so it's possible, it's canonical.
Yeah, and I love that type of stuff that they like. Their struggle would be felt on each other. Like I'd love that type of stuff that like
dyad shit.
Their struggle would like amplify each other's own personal issues even more and weigh them down in a sense through the Force. And I think it could be very Interesting.
Yeah, in the paragraph discusses like the possibility of flashbacks, but every single fan has discussed flashbacks and really getting Hayden and Obi-Wan in like
God, I hope.
in great, awesome flashbacks. And I would love that. Just thinking of like the Clone Wars, their scenes together, their camaraderie, but in live action would be incredible. But yeah, I still think the rematch of the century is still like the biggest like question mark for this series. Otherwise, I'm super, super, super hyped for the series. But I think it can be done well. It just has to be. It's very tricky slope here, regardless of the like. They never really saw each other, or like the whole like iffiness of the line itself. They never saw each other. I still think them just seeing each other is just very weird.
All right, give me Rey versus Kylo when it's the Force fight and they're in different locations. Give me that explored differently between these two characters. You know what I mean? I would love to see them like not actually, physically fighting, but it's there. Like it's there for us.
I think.
Give me Obi-Wan looking in a reflection and seeing Anakin. Give me that.
Like very Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stones. We're looking in the mirror.
Or even fucking like, Half-Blood Prince, where like Harry can't get or out of his mind.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. Great references there.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a creative way to do this where it doesn't feel like
there's a creative way, but when
this
it says
this is the new project David Yates goes on.
David Yates co-directed the scene, but when I hear rematch of the century and I hear just the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi, I don't trust Lucasfilm enough to give us some kind of metaphysical kind of fight. They're just going to give us a plain old. They see each other in the Star Destroyer again and they fight kind of scene.
Is it too much to ask for both?
It's not, and I think like Star Wars always has a good track record of, hey, a director did something new in the movies. I want to copy that in a different time period in a different show or project. Just like with Rian Johnson, he did the Force Vision, and JJ picked up on that for Tross. They could do that again here in Kenobi, but I just don't feel like they would. When it says rematch, they're going to be a physical rematch.
Me and Evan were talking just before we went live about like some people were saying that they want a similar type of fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin that we got with Ahsoka and Anakin in Rebels. Like straight up like crack that mask, jump on the face.
Ahsoka.
Which is fucking good.
So amazing.
But then we also said, or at least I was going on about that, like animation is like somewhere where you can get pretty fantastical to greater extent than live action. And I was saying, like, and granted, we're coming off like prequel characters, so like, people expect it, but what I love about live action Star Wars so much is that it does so well the grounded level of the nature of the world, like even to the effects of like, granted the prequel is like when they did like big jumps and stuff, it's like very like fast moving and like really intense, and it was supposed to be the Jedi in their prime, and I get it, but something I loved about like the fight on the Death Star in Tross was when they did big flips like that, it was like really like weighted and like you felt the impact of like every leap and bound like that, and they were limited as well. They weren't like every bit here and there, which is what I would hope they would emulate in Kenobi. Which, granted, I think they can because we saw like Ahsoka do some acrobatic stuff in Mando, and it felt pretty grounded. So I was comfortable with that.
It's still, I really liked, regardless of my feelings on the Ahsoka episode, that fight scene between her and the Magistrate, I think is the character's name,
was really good.
Was really good and really well done. So, but I'm also like, people have that fan-made video of Kenobi versus Vader, like
I cannot stand that video.
37 reimagined.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of that either. I'm like, old-ass Kenobi doing that? Come on.
It's the Luke thing for me of like this new Mando doc where I was like, I like the concept of like how you brought this to life. Canonically, though, don't need it.
Yeah, me too. Like, I respect what they did with it, but I don't agree with it. Yeah, exactly. But I don't want that for Kenobi. So this fight is just going to be very iffy for me. Like, I love a lot. I'm not very picky when it comes to lightsaber duels. There's not one where I'm like, besides like Count Dooku and Yoda, or like Sidious versus the people in his chamber, Mace Windu and them. That's not the best choreographed fight. But most of the time, the sequel. Most of the time, the sequel. Most of the sequel trilogy, I liked a lot of their fights. Kylo versus Rey in The Force Awakens. Kylo and Rey versus the Praetorian Guards in Last Jedi. And I like Kylo versus Rey. A lot of their fights in Tross. It was very, like Nathan said, it felt down to earth, even though they were both very powerful. Vader and Kenobi are as powerful as you can get. Vader is going to be in his prime during this TV series. Vader is one of the strongest characters in Star Wars. Kenobi also, I would argue, one could argue Kenobi is stronger at this period than he was in Revenge of the Sith, depending on who you talk to.
Well,
so it's like, how are they going to do it?
Powerful as
regardless, character. They just need to put the characters first and have the things that all great lightsabers fights have. Which is breaks where they talk to each other and argue.
That's a very good point, Carson. That's a very good point.
I was going on
because Return of the Jedi is the best for that.
Yeah, I was telling Evan how like fucking the internet would roast me for this opinion about the fucking Revenge of the Sith duel, which I fucking like. I think it's great, but like everyone's just like fucking losing their shit when they're like, oh, they're fucking flailing from each other because they're evenly matched and they can't find a window. Like fucking
what? I hate that.
And I was because everyone will fucking roast me for that opinion.
Yeah.
But, like, I was also telling Evan, like, a better way to fucking explore that if, like, they're even matches, if, like, while they were doing that to try to find an attack window, is if they were coming at each other, but then just, like, slightly dodging out of the way to just, because they know the moves. Like, that's a better showcase than fucking twirl for 5 minutes.
Yeah, than, like, leaving it up to, like,
5
weird.
seconds. But, like,
and having that talk between Obi-Wan and, I mean, just think of Hayden and, Ewan just like talking to each other during that fight. That would be very interesting. Like, what could they possibly be saying, especially in the context of A New Hope? It's like, what are they saying? Like, but I was the master last time we fought. Like, it's very interesting kind of thing.
Which to that point, you could like have Obi-Wan still putting on words of wisdom, and and even if
still
like,
trying to be the master. Oh my God.
Even if like. And imagine if like Anakin loses in that moment as Vader, and like even if he hates to admit it, he still takes a lesson from that fight.
Exactly, very true. And it's going to be interesting to try and parse out. Like, you don't want a repeat of everything Kenobi said to Anakin and Mustafar. Like, I failed you, Anakin. Please don't do this, Anakin. Come back, Anakin. So it's like, is he going to say the same thing again? And this time, like, hey, Vader, I failed you. Please come back. It's like, I want something different. I want a different perspective of Kenobi talking to Vader here. But also, I wanted to line up with what he said in New Hope. So it's a very tricky fight. But also one that could be very interesting. And also, Star Wars fights are all about the setting, too. So setting and characters is going to be very important to this.
Where will it be?
It's going to be on Hoth. It's going to be freezing. Can we go inside, buddy? Can we just talk inside for a second?
Fucking sneaking on Coruscant like Carson wants.
Oh, dude, give me the Belly of the Beast story. I want it.
Rainy Coruscant in live action.
Narrowly avoiding Sun Kang.
Oh my God, Inquisitor tracking him down in this stealth story, or like he's like in the rain. It's fucking pouring at this point, by the way.
Oh, give me a fucking rain fight.
Give me a rain fight.
Rain fight.
Like, we got the water fight in Tross, so we're just like waves crashing.
Imagine the Inquisitor's blades like pushing back the water because it's like, and that's all you see is like around the corner in like an alley is just pushing water out.
I would love that. I remember like forever we were like thinking like, oh, the fucking like the final duel of the saga, like mirroring the fucking Mustafar fight, but now it's all around water and it's gonna be fucking grandiose.
Oh God, yeah, we had the galaxy brain back then.
We really did. Whenever we do the Star Wars commentaries and we get to Tross, before we do, we should really look back on our crowd response.
Oh no!
The before and after is nuts.
Yeah, the secondhand embarrassment there, but
but yeah, if a like water setting for Anakin and Obi-Wan would be so cool in that level.
And I would love it because they're both drowning in a sense right now. Come on, it's right there. Writes itself, Joby Harold. Call me.
Call me.
In King Arthur, this is what I did. No.
They both. I'm fucking reaching when I'm just like fucking burnt Anakin and fucking like desert hermit.
Fuck it, do
That's where I'm
Vin
going,
Diesel.
yeah.
Fast 9. Vin Diesel falling in the water. Imagine that with Vader. That would look so cool.
Kenobi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vader's falling in the water. Sun King has to dive to get him.
Oh, oof.
Inquisitor stuff. We have to remember he's gonna be like an alien makeup.
Yeah, I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love it.
Oh man,
Man.
that's gonna
Do
be
we get
awesome.
the twirling sabers? Do we get them fully spinning? Do we
Are
get a
you gonna
helicopter?
fly? Helicopter saber. Kenobi won't do that to himself again. He can't go through that again.
Do you think it'll be like a video game boss like build up, or like get through the Inquisitors and then Vader final boss?
Interesting.
I would hope so.
As Filoni would say.
Do we go to Vader's castle?
Oh, definitely, 100%.
I mean, I know we
Yeah.
will for like
Yeah.
the interior stuff. Of
Okay,
Anakin, but like,
yeah.
will Obi-Wan go there? Would the rematch be on Mustafar?
What if the fight is in the castle? That's interesting.
Could they
I
have
don't
like
talk about Belly of the Beast. That's the Belly of the Beast.
Yeah.
dude? There's such a good setting
So
in
much
Rogue
dark
One
side
where
energy there. Yeah.
where Vader talks to Krennic like on that bridge where that overlooks the bay.
Yeah, dude.
That's a fucking saber level right there.
But also, I would love that, but I don't want them to fight in the same place they fought
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm
Depends-
saying. Like,
down-
depends what the
it won't be
context
over lava
is.
banks.
Yeah.
It would be in Vader's home where he would probably have the upper advantage.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be very
Really play
cool.
on the
now
fucking
now
like you know the
I'm
comics-
imagining a
the horror
scene
comics
in which they're
of Vader's
fighting.
castle. Plug
When
it
they're
in here.
imagine them fighting and like the back of the tank cracks and like spills all over or something. Like I'm imagining.
Kenobi's like, ew, that's gross.
No, even there, like Obi-Wan does like a fucking like slide because he's like dodging and he's fucking wet. I don't know.
Like, your skin is in here, dude. That's disgusting.
Dude, I can imagine Vader like crushing the back of the tank and throwing
shards?
spewed glass and the
Or the
back
Phoenix.
to
Obi-Wan turns into sand.
Hey,
it's like,
say
oh,
what
fuck.
you want about that movie, but that is
It's lit.
epic.
I like War of the Phoenix more. Not like on rewatch. I like it a lot.
It's a solid movie. It's not one of my favorites. It's David Yates' weakest one, but it's good.
I don't
Am I
know. You're
wrong?
fucking trashing part 2. Like, damn.
Oh, that's very true. It's
Yeah.
between
I love
part
part
2 and
two.
Order of the Phoenix. But yeah, but I think part 2 just has more of a euphoria for me than Order of the Phoenix, which is very slow and blue.
Epic
But,
conclusion.
Anyways, David Yates is yet to join Lucasfilm, so maybe that's his next project after his pharmaceutical drama.
Davey Yates to direct the Book of Boba Fett for me.
Oh man, I did have my show notes from Robert Rodriguez stuff, but then I was looking over the quotes and I'm like, there's nothing really substantial about Robert exclusive quotes about Book of Boba Fett from Robert Rodriguez. I was looking at the show notes and it's just him saying, "It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be unexpected. It's gonna be action packed." And I'm like, yeah, that's what I
Okay,
expect.
Robert.
Yeah,
It is
okay,
funny. Again, like how we were discussing the Luke doc tonight. When the previous Mando season 2 doc, when we were like, fucking, of course we had to spotlight Boba Fett, but at the same time, I'm like, look at him fucking using action figures for storyboards. This is fucking cool.
And seeing Robert on his guitar in that doc, it was very cool.
Like seeing people have fun. I can't be mad because they're having fun in Star Wars. Like we
Yeah.
would too.
Robert loved doing that episode. He's just sitting there with his guitar and talking about how his children came up with the toy ideas. Yeah, Book of Boba Fett, real quick, it's just like it's a show that I'm not super hyped for, but when it comes to a trailer, I'm going to be very curious to see how deep they dive into his actual character. We're getting a lot of flashbacks between that weird 5-year time frame where he decided not to find Cobb Vanth until Din came. Like, what were you doing the whole time, dude?
Well, Cobb
but yeah.
Vanth be in it, that would be great.
That would be great. More Timothy Oliphant. I would love that. But yeah, before we leave, I want to, Carson, can you pull up the Lego Star Wars trailer? I want to watch that with you guys before we.
0.25 speed. Pick out everything.
I mean, it doesn't have to be 0.25 or not.
I mean, I was both joking, but also very serious. Like, I'll do
Okay,
it.
we'll do 0.5.
0.5. That works.
I mean, honestly, 0.25 moves fast in its own right. Like,
I
when we
know.
just start talking, we're like, oh shit, the shot's gone.
Okay, we'll do
Yeah.
0.5. We'll do 0.2.
Like,
'Cause
we were
this-
talking about Spider-Man, and we were like, oh shit, wait.
Because this is a game that I'm astoundedly excited for. I probably butchered that.
Astonishingly?
Astonishingly, yeah, sure. Excited for.
Pikachu.
Yeah, it worked. I'm super excited for it. It's one of my most anticipated games of, unfortunately, next year because at the end of the video,
Blame it all time.
it was delayed to spring 2022. This shit was supposed to come out last year,
What is this, Top Gun Maverick?
or at least it was
Hey,
rumored to
don't
come
give
out
me-
last year.
I'm so
Don't you
sad.
dare!
I
I'll do my rant.
napped and I wished that away, and it's
Yeah,
You fell into a coma because of it.
like, oh man,
13 months till I get to see Mission Impossible 7. Horrible.
So we can do
anyways.
our commentaries in the meantime.
Man, like this game is just everything I ever wanted in a Star Wars game, and it's Lego.
It's good.
ESRB.
Hey.
Let's not- me of all Lego people.
Padme!
Honestly, I'm looking at this and I was just like, fucking remaster. Here we go.
Yeah, it's
Look
not
at that quality.
remastered. See, look at the quality. It's
I'm like, look at
incredible.
these 2021 Lego minifigures.
That's insane. I compared that to like what we saw in the first video game ever for Lego Star Wars.
Look at the way the camera's moving,
The
dude.
camera work in the combat.
Come on!
That's
Did you just... Oh, what is that force thing going on back there?
Like this actual
what's this-
gameplay, like
He was
man.
juggling. Oh, this fucking pat in his face. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, look at his toy.
Uh,
Anakin, I mean Anakin.
This is so good. All these like visual gags are so good. I wish we could hear it, but like
Oh yeah, and the voice acting.
that Ewan McGregor chin.
Again, a new revamp of the Revenge of the Sith
Revenge of the
fight
Sith.
scene.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow,
Look at that. Look at how it's moving. It's
Look how
down.
wide open this thing is. That's insane.
That's really good. It's very cinematic. Yeah, that's the red impact.
Oh my
Damn.
god.
Oh my god, is that the Kenobi show? Leak.
Linked by Lego, which isn't that surprising these days.
This shit's funny.
How did my father die?
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's Kenobi
Cody.
and Cody.
Yeah,
Wow.
how did my father die? Ugh.
He's
It's a long story.
He's got like the fucking Glory Days pictures on
He
him.
really does. That's so good. This is what I live for. These gags.
Look
Man.
at that, guys.
Ooh.
Really, that many
Gameplay.
planets next to Hoth? Dagobah, nice.
That looks.
I always hated wearing that Luke Skywalker training outfit.
Yeah,
It wasn't my
'cause
favorite outfit in the Lego
it's-
games. It had like sweat stains.
Look at
Look how wide open. Look at the
Best
pump.
game.
Damn, that is a big investment. Big.
It's
boy.
like light attack, heavy
Backflip.
attacks. Oh man, Tross.
Hey.
okay. This looks actually really
Oh,
cool too.
at the corner of your screens, one of the guys had their helmet off too, which is you can probably take their helmet off, and you can pinpoint like where to
Ooh.
hit them.
Wait, which guy? The Sith troopers?
Yeah, one of the
Come
Sith troopers
on.
had his helmet off.
Look at.
Woo!
I was very happy with these spotlights.
Let's go.
Dude.
Oh
Last
my.
Yeah! Lego doesn't have a piece that divides the blades, but it's fine.
Jedi. Oh man.
Come
Let's go!
on. Look at this.
I'm gonna be playing as Rey like the entire video game.
Oh,
Like I'm gonna unlock free play. It's just Ray.
It's just
Saber
Rey.
twirl.
It's gonna be the Lego Holiday Special all over again.
Saber twirl.
Join the
Join
fight.
the fight.
Hey, live free, don't join is what I say.
Ooh, DJ.
Don't join.
DJ has to be a playable character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're gonna have like a fucking like.
Wow,
Oh
look at the
my
combat, guys.
God.
Look at
the
those,
combat.
look at the fire.
Again, the arena style, the combat systems, Wicket.
Oh.
Oh, what the fuck? What was that?
That's so cool.
I didn't even.
Look at this open
Oh,
world.
dude, the seismic charge level is gonna be nuts. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't notice this the first.
I didn't even notice that at the time.
Seismic charge.
Look it up. What is this place called?
Geonosis.
Geonosis.
Oh, Django's
Oh, he's about to
done.
cut off his head.
You can cut off his head in the game.
This looks so cool. This looks really
Yeah,
cool.
opening.
I remember this. Compared this to like the original trilogy Lego game, where it's just like one
Oh, it's
small
just like
hallway.
static.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Reach out, Rave. What do you see? Reaches out and gets Chewie.
I actually just want some scratches. So cute.
Oh, it's so funny in slow mo.
And the voice actor for Luke was really good.
Isn't that Mark?
It's not. I don't think it is.
I don't
Mark.
think it is Mark.
Somebody
I figured they would
else.
just like recycle the dialogue.
No, actually, I think it's like new dialogue, like
'Cause
for
I know
the
they did it
jokes.
for the Lord of the Rings games and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if they what they did
Pirates.
here.
I think for the jokes and everything they didn't. Oh yeah,
This-
here's a very cool.
I gotta
part.
pause
Oh
this.
Yeah,
yeah,
pause it
wait,
real quick.
I didn't get to study. So it looks like this is your like pause menu. 'Cause
Yep.
I
Yeah.
see a lot of different tabs.
And it looks like
Cantonica
you're gonna be able to
Kajii.
fly to like the outskirts of something and then fly in.
I
You
think
know?
so too, which is what everybody wanted for like their big Jedi Fallen Order kind of thing. But you might
Do
be
you guys
able to
think
do
this
it
is
here in
actually like
Lego.
fly to them, or is it like a Jedi Fallen
I
Order
think you
fast travel?
can fly to them. I think they heard about them talking about like where it's not going to be crazy open world, but like probably like
Half
a
and half.
route. Yeah, a route where
But
you can
not a
like
fast travel.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
that could be maybe it says right here travel or view map. So I don't know.
Maybe you could fast travel to like farther away.
Yeah,
planets.
that's what I'm thinking. You have the option.
And I would love if they had like two options where it's like you have a hyperspace ship, no problem. Or if you don't have one, like the Clone Wars days, you like walk into that hyperspace ring and then take off.
That'd be very cool. I wonder how accurate this map is to like the Lego or to the actual Star Wars
It's
map.
got,
Like,
I didn't realize.
is Crate that close to
Kijimi's in
Dagobah?
here. No,
No, it's simplified as hell. But like, what are these like tabs up top? I'm like looking like.
Okay, so-
map, characters, ships.
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah,
that's probably
character
Favorites.
selection, maps, probably I don't know, quests.
Oh, yeah, probably. Probably options. like back in
objectives,
the last one.
settings, and help.
Hints. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But this just seems very cool. Like, this is going to be the biggest Lego game. This is the biggest Lego game they've ever done, by the way. Like the
Oh, by
No.
far.
developers said, like this is way beyond what they did for the Marvel or DC games. Like,
So
this
when
is
you
huge.
hit travel, do you think that's just setting a waypoint for you to follow?
I think it might be
Yeah,
like
because look at on the top of Dagobah, that little point it sets. Do you see
that's where he's on right now.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Probably just tally the planet. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
we can move on. Yeah, it's very cool.
Are those? Wait. Are the ones on the left? Are they just because Bespin looks really bright? Are they like areas not unlocked yet?
Oh, the
that?
ones
Yeah,
that are
these
red.
question marks are.
Yeah, I
Oh.
don't see Mustafar here. And we know Mustafar is a confirmed world. What else? Mustafar is Camino on here.
I don't see.
Mustafar, Camino.
Is Naboo on here? I don't. Oh yeah, it is. Okay.
There's Naboo. There's Bespin, Hoth.
Is that Taco Donna on top right or?
I think as you go through the movies, other things will be like
No, it says cat. Canto Bite is up.
a lot of the Revenge of the Sith worlds aren't on here. Utapau, Mustafar.
Yeah, which is weird that we see. I don't know.
Maybe like the map will expand even more like the further
as you go through the movies.
Saga.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
And remember, they said you don't have to go in order of movies like you did in the old games. You can do whatever you want.
I feel uncomfortable. I didn't.
Yeah, see, I think
Me
that
too,
maybe
I
the
agree.
option, maybe an
Also-
option that pull up like right on the outside and then kind of fly
Okay.
around and then come down.
Yeah.
You have to land your ship yourself.
And I think this is a little bit the free roam stuff. It's just Luke just
Yeah.
going
This
between
reminds me of, like,
Tatooine.
OG Battlefront 2. like
Because he went from Dagobah to Tatooine, which isn't
like
like,
Lando and Kashyyyk. accurate.
Yeah, Lando on Kashyyyk, Rey
Ray
on
with a
Jakku.
fucking jetpack.
That's not canon.
It's not my Star Wars.
C-3PO on Kashyyyk.
Oh Jesus, that's great.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, this looks beautiful. By the way,
Hold
this
up.
is what,
I have
what
that
was
minifigure.
Ajin Kloss, Kajimi, one of those things.
Play the entire saga.
Or
Man,
Kick
I'm
some
so
brick through
sad I
1
gotta
through
wait
6.
for this.
oh my god, the nostalgia heaven.
Dude, look at the lightning.
Oh, that is.
Oh, and
high.
the thing's levitating. I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize.
Oh, it's going up to the fucking
Senate. floor. And look how the screen freezes over because they're on Hoth.
Oh,
And you can see like a zip line over there.
Oh, here's
Oh.
the
Force Awakens?
what's Snoke's
Last
ship
Jedi.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
What is the ship called?
the-
Supremacy?
called? Supremus.
I think so. That's Snoke ship.
What is this for? Maybe this is. I see Hoth. So maybe this is after the escape from Hoth.
I
Oh,
love
I
Naboo.
was
man.
thinking.
Naboo is like the comfort planet. Like I
Naboo
just-
The Battle
is
of Endor's
awesome.
gonna be, dude. The Battle of Endor levels or the fucking Death Star assaults are gonna be nuts.
Poor Boba Fett getting shit on again.
Oh, look at the rain, Nathan. Look at the rain.
The rain. I love Camino.
Oh, and they said he can collect these blue bricks for
Maz
new.
Castle.
Oh yeah, they're Lego always had like big like.
Ooh, some Phantom Menace. Rise
It's
of
the
Skywalker
teaser!
Here.
Ah!
It's the Porsche commercial. Oh my
Yeah,
god!
I remember I plugged the Porsche commercial footage in my super trailer. I was
You
like,
did. That was really cool.
Oh, dude, so fun.
Okay, it's still so cool.
Oh, actually, I might use that raid outfit. That's one of my favorite raid
That,
outfits.
yeah, it's so.
That's
good.
pretty damn cool.
Ray
I love
Nobody
that.
all the way, bro. That's what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
I love the training outfit.
Oh, we can't hear it, but they had the Force Awakens, like I think, like trailer music or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was.
for this.
It was beautiful.
It was really beautiful. But yeah, this game is. Whoo!
Is
I
there
can't
more
wait.
after the
I
title?
think there is. There's 20 seconds, unless they plug a PS5 over here.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
this
just
is-
says
2022.
spring 2022.
Oh,
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 there's the
yep.
Yoda scene.
Oh, that's right. Let's see it.
Luke on Dagobah.
We should have captions. Oh shit.
Takes off his jacket.
Oh yeah, he's like, I could be a Jedi.
What could possibly go wrong?
Man, tell him I'm ready. Fucking upside down.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Ben. I can be a Jedi. Ben, tell him. Yikes.
Music.
Should have chose Leia.
Is it too late to choose Leia? Let me hide out. Let me take a
People are
backseat.
doing this one person that did the artwork of like the live action Bad Batch are doing like art of like what if Leia grew up on Tatooine and Luke was the prince and as a what if, and it looks so good.
That would be amazing. Star Wars should definitely do what if. But yeah, this game looks incredible. I can't say anything bad about it. It's been a very, very long time since I played a Lego game. I think I played the first Lego Marvel game that they had.
I had that.
But yeah, I really want to play this because this is everything in my dream.
I have the Lego Harry Potter collection 1 through 4 and 5 through 8 that I got on sale digitally. I haven't played them yet, but I have them.
Ooh, I remember I platinumed that first Lego Harry Potter game.
I was
Nice.
gonna play them, but I was like, we're doing a rewatch right now. I want to finish them first. I don't want to spoil them. But here I am.
But yeah, that was seems to be it. Carson, did you want to talk about Rising Storm and just your spoiler-free thoughts real quick?
Yeah, I'll just go very briefly.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm still like overwhelmed by it a little bit. Like it's
That last page, man. The last page.
last page, man, and there's so many implications for Claudia Gray's third book now that I'm so excited just from the title alone.
The Fallen Star.
The Fallen Star. I just know there's stuff coming, and it's just as far as world building and like creating a new era. It's just done so well of creating just these expressive and human characters, literally, that I feel like I can relate to these people in several different ways. Man, it's just so fleshed out as a world, and I love every second of this conflict. And it's even within the giant action set pieces, there's just so much going on with the characters that it just is so worth it. And all the new characters in Rising Storm in particular, Ty Yorick.
Do you have a standout character from the book?
Oh, Elzar, man, 1000%.
Yeah.
His
Crazy
characterization
good.
in this book is insanely good, and my speculation now is that I'm really excited to see how Claudia writes Avar Kriss, because I feel like
Yes.
she's gonna be back in a big way in the third book, and I feel like Claudia's really gonna make that character shine because.
Speaking of that real quick, in the Marvel comics, the ones I just bought today, they're delving into the events after the Rising Storm.
Ooh,
and
I gotta pick those up.
I read some of the Marvel solicits for the upcoming High Republic books coming in October, and Avar Kriss is not happy that she was not there on Valo.
Quote Avar Kriss, I'm not happy, Bob.
Because she was dealing with something very important. She was dealing with the Drangir, but she does feel very guilty that being one of the strongest Jedi of the era, she was not there to protect her friends. So she's gonna be out for blood, and that's gonna be very curious as a Jedi. Like, they shouldn't be one for revenge, but when we talk about the third book in this thing, I can see Avar going down a dark path, similar to what Elzar was going down, and Stellan trying to be in the middle, like, guys, let's calm down. Like, we're fine here. Let's do this. Stellan's my boy too. I like Stellan a lot.
Stellan's awesome.
Where he's kind of like the popular kid, but he's also such a good leader, such a good guy. And they all have their own faults, and they're all great characters. And I think Charles Soule really delved into Avar and Elzar a bit, and then Kevin came in and really wrote in the third person, Stellan, of that trio, Stellan and Elzar, their relationship. And in the spoiler article, somebody was like, well, for this third book, are we going to see, or maybe I forget, I think it was Claudia Gray interview where they asked like, so we had a lot of Avar in the first book, we had Stella in the second book. Are we going to see all three of them together in the Fallen Star? And she was like, I can't really see anything, but she kind of like gave a smile. So I'm like, I really hope we get the big trio that this whole
we will. 1000%.
First phase is about in this. Hopefully none of them die, but I want to get all of them just together because they are such a very interesting trio, and I like them a lot. And Belle as well. Belle is like
Belle.
the poor.
Oh,
somebody
no.
give this guy some alcohol so he can
I'm
just.
worried,
yeah,
man.
I'm worried about that guy too. This could be very interesting. What's going to happen to him? But I think Cavan wrote Rising Storm so well in the fact that some people said the first part is very boring, but I couldn't disagree more. I think it was very good character building in the first half. The second half, literally like 200 pages.
Is all action.
All action
Dude,
and chaos. It is amazing.
And just when I thought it was ending, and then I'm like, I didn't even realize we are going to have this whole third act, per se, past Valo.
It's like a fourth act, yeah.
Where we got to go do this whole thing. And there's all this stuff going on, and the Nile intrigue ramps up to like 11 because of that inner conflict that's going on between Laura D, Pan Ento,
Pan-Ada.
Pan-Ada, and Markion Ro, of course.
The best character in the entire freaking series, Markion Ro. This book got me way more excited to read his Eye of the Storm from Charles Soule coming out in January, because his past, and we learned a little bit about his past in the beginning of the book and by the end of the book too, in terms of what he unleashes against the Jedi. I'm like, do they stand a chance here?
This whole book is so cinematic, and I just was like imagining the sequences like on such a scale, especially the end stuff of like just even looking up at him as he's standing out of the ship, just like staring down at everybody, dude. And I'm like, just imagine that in live action.
The imagery there, dude, freaking out. Markion is such a fascinating character, and seeing his arc, where we get bits and pieces of him in relation to his father, his race, which we still don't know what race he is, and his character arc is just, whenever he's talking, you're just captivated. I think overall, Kevin Scott, again, for me, when I finished the book, this is like one of my absolute favorite Star Wars novels ever. And I've never had that roller coaster of emotion as I had reading the last couple of pages where I'm sweating and I don't want to spoil myself. So I'm reading the book at a slower pace. I'm like, that final line just, it's the epitome.
Last sentence, dude.
It's the epitome of what the High Republic is about, that they said all along. The Star Wars High Republic is about said line, and they did it.
Yep. Nathan, get to it so we can talk about it more in full detail.
Read your Dune novel and finish up.
Read my Dune novel. Well,
or Dune graphic novel.
I feel like I should wait on Dune until I watch the movie.
But true. That too.
I wanted to have it while I could. But yes, I picked up a copy of The Rising Storm.
On Audible or actually physical?
You got the Target cover.
Oh yeah, you did.
I did.
So did I.
It says poster inside, and I was like, where?
I got the Dune graphic novel right here.
Nice. So are we still doing that Dune podcast when the movie comes out?
Dunecast!
You betcha.
Dune space hype.
I had this Target bag because it was raining.
Oh, nice.
Carson, I got it.
This book's...
Dang, guys, you guys are leaving me behind. I gotta catch up.
I got I have all 6 Dune books on there somewhere.
Nice.
All right, slow down, fucker. I don't have all that. Damn, thick boy. Okay. Yes.
Bell up in front. Tyoric to the right there. No, that's not Tyoric. That's Zendira, Bell's master. And then we have Stellan and Elzar over there. Great stuff. Yeah. Great stuff. For light in life, for the High Republic. Yes. But yeah. This was great, guys.
And just for final unnecessary reasons, I have a copy of Spider-Man Miles Morales finally.
Oh, dude. Evan, on the back of here, it has a quote about this graphic novel by Eric Heisner, who is the Oscar-nominated screenwriter of Arrival.
For Arrival, yep. Best Adapted Screenplay. Nominated. Should have won. What won Best Adapted Screenplay in 2016?
Yeah, what did win?
Best Adapted in 2016.
The Suicide Squad.
La La
Didn't,
Land's
Fences win or
original-
something? Wasn't
Might have been
Fences?
Fences. No, that was 2017.
Didn't Arrival
Maybe.
come out in 2016, therefore 2017 Oscars?
Yeah. Either way, Arrival should have won all the awards, just like Dune should. But yeah, this was a great podcast, guys.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Great time.
That about, I suppose, wraps it up here. So, with that being said, on episode 55 of Hyperspace Hype, Evan, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at HarrisEv9. I'm considering seeing Shang-Chi. Either
Sun Kang, is I think you were stuck on.
Yeah, I really was. Great actor. I might see it tomorrow. I might go see it Friday. I'm not sure. But we will be back on Friday to do our spoiler review of Shang-Chi, the What If episodes, and other movie news from the past 2 weeks now, because we didn't do one last week. And that is all.
Carson, where can they catch you when active?
I will be on my quest to Arrakis, and reading Justina Ireland's Out of the Shadows, hopefully, and picking up, I think I'm going to go buy Cavan Scott's Tempest Runner on Audible right after this, so I can listen to that, which I've heard excellent things from people that have listened to it. The full amazing audio cast. Cannot wait for the sound effects and everything.
I have to buy my Audible app again, or install my Audible app
so
again.
I'm like, you can start a free, or you can buy the trial or whatever for the month.
Oh yes.
For like $14 or $15.95, or you could just buy Tempest Runner outright for $25.
It's 20.
I know, and so I'm like, I don't know.
Do I have another free Audible credit I can use?
That's what I keep looking. I'm like, please. But I do want to support it somehow, so I'll figure it out. But yeah, did I say I'm on Twitter? I'm on Twitter when I'm not
Just
being
what's your
late
at?
and asleep at the Film Carson. Please come bully me about how I'm late to this podcast. Join in on the fun. But yeah, can't wait for our Shang-Chi review, because I've been sitting on this for like at least a
here
week
we
and a
go.
half, because I saw it early. I can't wait to talk about it. I'm really excited
Think you're
for
better than me?
everybody to see it.
Think you're a better Marvel fan than me?
I think I am.
Motherfucker, I meet him and he trashes Ragnarok, and then the full circle is he gets to go see Shang-Chi
Oh
early.
man, what a journey.
Is Shang-Chi better than Ragnarok? Come see us on Friday.
Probably. I'm fine with it. Find me at _ Nathan Rojas writing self-destructive poetry and it's, going through life. Anyway, with that being said, if you enjoyed our podcast, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already. Remember what Topher says.
I come before you today to ask you for one thing.
Beautiful.
Ring that bell.
Toby's scream is so good.
It's so good.
Ah!
And with that being said, hope you have a great day, and may the force be with you always.